This is just one example of what oil pollution does to our environment. Although oil drilling is very political, it also affects our environment through climate change. The need for oil drives us to drill into our ground and take up most of our natural resources. Now you may ask what oil spills in the ocean have to do with climate change. These oil spills lead to a demand of more oil to be drilled in our environment, meaning more of our natural resources wasted. Our plan is to show how biomimicry of a sponge, specifically a reef sponge, can make this oil in the ocean reusable. Cnidarian feeding is based off of filter feeding. In this study, about 80% of all water bacteria are removed through a single passage in the sponge. Our idea for our invention to biomimic sponge filter feeding is to create turbine-like tunnels that take in water and oil, and then they go through a filter that separates the oil and the water. It has an electric motor, so it's environmentally friendly. And what we would do is then we would mimic how the sponge has a passage. This passage would take the water pipe and it would put the water back into the environment. And then the oil would go into a separate pipe and that would go back into oil storage that could use that oil instead of using the natural resources in our environment. This is another drawing of how we might combat this situation. We would have more of a cylindrical object that does the same thing. It would use a turbine to suck in water and oil. It would filter it out and have an oil storage in the object, and then it would filter out the clean water. These inventions would reduce the rate of our natural resources that are still in our environment from being drilled, therefore reducing the rate of climate change. In this article, it states that with the increased risk, the increased cost, it gives you a sense of where we're going. We're not going to be able to sustain the kind of fossil fuel use. The planet can't sustain it. Meaning, if we are able to take these resources and reuse them, we can help the planet sustain a little longer. In this article, it speaks about drilling in our ocean leading to oil spills. The industry's global track record shows that where oil is drilled, blowouts and oil spills are a fact of life. These spills sicken and kill and are especially disastrous in water, where it's extremely rare to recover more than 20% of the oil spilled. Our invention will allow us to recover more than 20% guaranteed. When we are able to recover this oil, it will stop the need for drilling in our environment and keep these natural resources away from the drilling cycle.
Okay, to mainly conclude what Braden just said, is that our invention fixes the demand of oil drilling, which helps to increase climate change after oil spills occur and damage the marine life. This invention mimics the process of filter feeding that a reef sponge would use to remove bad bacteria. This invention is and should be a necessity in order to combat climate change.